All right, and we are fortunate enough to be joined by Pilar Laura from the embassy in Spain, the education office of the embassy in Spain. So thank you very much, Pilar, and I will turn the presentation over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jake, and thank you very much for inviting me to give this presentation. I'm really happy to see that we have a lot of students interested in the program, and I hope this presentation would be useful for you. If not, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. I will leave my mail address in the chat later so that you can contact me, but also you have the information on the web page that I will give you the link in a minute too. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, it's here, and then we're going to start with the presentation. So, yeah. Okay, so I think, are you seeing it properly? It's all right. Okay, so we're going to start. It is true that, as Jake said, before the program was known as Auxiliares de Conversación. Well, in Spanish, it's still the same name. And in English, it was the North American Language and Culture Assistance Program. But now everybody is just, referring to it as NALCAP. Okay, so first of all, we're going to start with a very short video about the program, which gives us kind of a summary or a hint of what it's about, and then I will start explaining it. I hope.
Fancy living in Spain? Join the Language and Culture Assistance Program of the Education Office of the Spanish Embassy. It offers a fantastic opportunity to spend a school year in Spain as an assistant teacher, sharing your language and knowledge with Spanish students K through 12 and adults.
Con ella aprender inglés es estupendo. Chloe es la mejor.
I got medical insurance and a monthly allowance to help pay for accommodation and expenses, and I really think that this experience will help with my career in the future.
Spain also offers you amazing travel and cultural possibilities.
I couldn't have imagined this was going to be such a life-changing experience.
Okay.
And what about the food?
And the lively streets.
And the wonderful people.
Yo he mejorado mucho mi español.
Don't miss this opportunity. Learn more about the Language and Culture Assistance Program of the Education Office of the Embassy of Spain.
And grow as you share.
Okay, so I wanted you to have an overall idea of what the program is about, and now we're going to start. So the program is an educational outreach initiative of the Ministry of Education of Spain, okay? And we offer American college students or recent graduates the opportunity to teach as assistants in Spain in classrooms across the country. That will mean that you will be helping Spanish teachers who are teaching English or their subjects in English. Okay, so you will help them, you will be assistant to those classes. So you're not going to be responsible for the class. You will be helping giving presentations in English about the culture, about traditions, things like that. Okay. The participants in the programs assist lead teachers in the teaching of the English language and the culture of the US while immersed in the language and the culture of Spain, promoting a cultural link between the citizens of those two countries, right? So as I said, you will be helping Spanish students who are learning English right now. You will be working mostly in schools that have something similar with what you call here dual language immersion programs. Okay, so but the only thing is that in this case the dual language immersion program will be English and Spanish. The skills acquired through this participation in this program, the skills you're gonna acquire and the experience you will get will leave a deep international impact on the returning of the language assistance. So whenever you come back to the States, you will have gained a lot of a new perspective on the world for sure, but also experience and also a lot of new skills that you maybe have not tried or have not worked with before. okay? And you will be able to put those skills to use in any setting, okay? So it doesn't matter if you are not thinking about devoting your professional career to teaching. In any case, whatever the experience are and the skills you're gonna get here are gonna be of use to you in any future career you will follow. What will you be doing? Well, as I said, in most schools, you will be the teacher assistant under the guidance and the supervision of a lead teacher, okay? And these teachers will be teaching English as a second language, the word of foreign language, for students in that school, okay? But in other schools, you may also be involved in being a teacher assistant in other school subjects. So maybe not working in the subject of English language arts, as you would call it, but maybe you are helping a teacher who is teaching right now mathematics in English, or who is teaching science in English, okay? So you will, or social studies, okay? So you will helping them too. Usually it's because this school is part of a bilingual program, which I said before, or a dual language immersion program, okay, that and then that program affects the whole school. And sometimes your tasks will include not only, you know, conducting conversation lessons, but also presenting cultural presentations or attending department meetings. Also to participate in extracurricular activities, such as, for example, workshops or cultural activities, field trips, school plays, musical performances, and sports events. Usually those extracurricular activities are not going to be compulsory for you to participate, so it's going to be something that you will do voluntarily. Okay, what kind of schools you will be working at? Well, in elementary schools, that will include also early childhood programs, what you call here kinder, because in Spain, usually elementary schools, not always, but most of them, they have students who are that arrive there when they are 3 years old, okay, up to usually what you will be the equivalent here to 6th grade. Okay, those are elementary schools in Spain. And then you will have secondary schools. In secondary schools in Spain, we do not have the same division you have here as elementary, middle, and high school. We usually have elementary schools and secondary schools, what we call in Spain is escuelas o centros de primaria y centros de secundaria o institutos. Okay, so you can be working in elementary or in these institutos, in these secondary schools. And also, there are less schools that participate in this program, but we also have language schools. Usually these language schools, or as we call them in Spanish, las escuelas de idiomas, are schools in which the students that get there are adults, and they are going there usually after work to learn a language. So you can also be located, you know, will be working in one of these schools that teach English as a second language for adults, okay, and in Spain, of course. Which are the program requirements? Well, the first one is you need to be a US citizen, okay? You will need to have a valid US passport for at least 3 months after the end of the program. So you're going to need to have your passport. If you are planning to apply for the program for next school year, the application period, I will say that later, but it's going to open by the end of January, beginning of February. So I would recommend you, if you're planning to apply for that period, that you get your US passport as soon as possible, because you're going to need it, and sometimes it takes longer than expected. So that's one of the requirements. Also, you will have to be a native-like speaker of English, okay? So we need that you have a good level of proficiency in English. And you can be either a college sophomore, junior, or senior, or a college graduate already, or have an associate degree, or be a community college student in your last semester. And then, of course, you will need to be in good physical and mental health and have a clean background check, okay? That's also something that we are going to ask you to provide for us. And the age, there is no age limit. You can apply to this program since you are 18 to 60, and we say 60 just to give a number, but there is not really any age limit. And also there is, as you can see, there is no requirement for Spanish proficiency. So we do not ask you to have a certain level of Spanish, but we're gonna remind you, or you need to be aware that you are gonna be living in Spain. So you're gonna need Spanish for your daily routines there. So it is important that you at least have a minimum level of competency of fluency in the language to be able, you know, to go on with your daily routines in Spanish. But we don't really need any credential or any certification that you have a certain level of the language. The program conditions, which are the conditions for to participate in the program. So you're gonna have a schedule that would be around, will require you to work around 12 to 16 class periods per week. Most of the schools, we ask them to arrange the schedule so that you will have at least or either Monday or Friday free off. Okay, so we usually ask the schools to organize the schedule so that you have long weekends. Sometimes even some schools organize that so that you have 2 days off, but usually it's 4 days of work a week and then 3 days off. And so it depends on how they arrange the schedule. So if you arrive to school and they ask you about this, you can ask them to give you, yes, at least 1 day off, okay? You will receive also a monthly estimate of about 700 to 1,000 euros. It's going to depend on which region of Spain you are assigned to. Okay, so sometimes, for example, in Madrid, because it is a little bit more expensive, the allowance is a little bit higher. But in some other places, like in some provinces, which are not that expensive, the allowance is a little bit less. But anyway, you can supplement this grant with private classes. So private lessons. Most of our assistants, the ones that have already been in Spain and come back, they tell us that what they usually do is that they work during the mornings, what we call the mornings. I will talk about this also later in Spain. And then after our main meal, which is around 3 in about midday, will be kind of an early supper for you. So that's usually the daily schedule for school. It's usually from 9 or 8 to 3. So then we have our meal, and so usually assistant, they work at that time at the school, and then in the evening and afternoons after that meal, they usually work with private lessons. Okay, so as you're going to be working in schools that are, you know, that have dual language programs, most of them, or even if they don't, you're going to meet a lot of students or teachers who would like to improve their level of English, and they will ask you to give them a private lesson. So you can work with that. There's no legal problem with that. You can work giving these private lessons and then, you know, kind of increase your monthly amount. The length of the program is usually 8 months. It's going to go from October the 1st to the end of May or the end of June in the case of Madrid. Okay, and usually those I will say that later. I was going to say that it includes those 8 months, includes the holidays and are going to be paid holidays. But as you can see there, so you will have also medical insurance, but not med. Okay, but you cannot, I mean, there is no comparison between the price of medicines in Spain and in the States. So in Spain, it's much more affordable than here. And the medical insurance covers the doctor visits and appointments. Okay. And you will also receive an orientation course at the beginning of the school year and an official certificate upon completion of the program. Okay, so once you come back here, you will receive a certification that you have been working there as an assistant. And as I said, I thought it was going to show up here, but these 8 months, you're going to receive your stipend monthly. Okay, so that means that if there are holidays during those months, you will receive anyway your stipend for the whole month. So, and in Spain, for example, holidays, Christmas holidays are really long. They usually go from December 21st, 20 to January 10, usually, sometimes January 8. And those holidays are included in, are also paid, okay? Oh, that's what I was saying. So it is going to show there. So that's the thing. So we really have a very long Christmas and Easter break, and that would be covered too. Okay, you will be paid for that. You will also have, as Jake said that he did, you will also have the opportunity to renew for a second year. Okay, given that you have you receive a positive evaluation from the school. Okay, it will be a maximum of 5 years, the maximum that you're going to stay there in the program, participating in the program. And I would like to say that most of our assistants, they renew for a second year and even for sometimes more. You will be responsible for finding your house. Okay, so you need to find a house. And most of our assistants, sorry, what they do is that they share an apartment with some other assistants or students, or even teachers. So it's up to you. We can help you with that. Usually it's the school, the one that help the students with or the students again, I'm sorry, the assistants with that. And applicants will have to select, when you do your application, when you fill in your application, you will have to select 3 preferred regional destinations in Spain. Okay, we're going to see now a map of Spain so that you can have an idea. So I would recommend you to start doing some research about the destinations you would like to choose. Okay, and also I would like to say that do not, or at least this is my recommendation, do not just think about the well-known destinations in Spain, like I don't know, Barcelona or Madrid, because those destinations are, of course, they are very well known, and most of the assistants, they want to apply for those. But sometimes it's in the small places where you're going to really live and enjoy the Spanish experience. Okay, I would say it's going to be something similar to what happened to me when I was destined to Indiana. That when I was in Spain, I was thinking about California or even, I don't know, New York, and I never thought about Indiana. And now I must say, after 5 years that I've been here, that I really feel that I've really lived and have the American experience. So I would recommend the same to you. These are the regions in Spain, so you will have to choose 3 of those, and do not forget also our islands, the Balearic Islands and the Canary Islands too, okay? And also the autonomous city of Ceuta and Melilla, okay? So you will have to choose 3 of those, and we will try to, to answer to that preference and give you one of those destinations, but we cannot really grant it to you, okay? And why coming to Spain? Why, which are the reasons to come to Spain? Well, I would say that apart from the main reason of just going abroad, I mean, it doesn't have to be Spain, just having the experience of living abroad and enjoy a different culture in a different country and everything. Well, I would say that in the case of Spain, because of our traditions, okay, that you have the San Fermines in Pamplona, La Tomatina, Las Fallas de Valencia, but also because of our architecture, that's the Acueducto de Segovia, La Mezquita de Córdoba, El Escorial en Madrid, La Sagrada Familia, El Guggenheim in Bilbao, because of our nature too, por las playas, the beaches, but also like, we have some snow resorts, like even in the south, in Granada, but also because of our cultural life, the concerts, the theater, the music, and also because, and I would say that mostly because of our gastronomy, which is really rich and diverse. Okay, so you have several reasons like paella and los churros. Okay, so the application period will open. It's not open yet. It's going to open very soon at the end of January, probably, or early February in 2023. And it will probably go until April. Okay. There is no application fee. It's free. And this is very important for you to know, because sometimes when you try to fill in the application, sometimes it gets you to some private companies that try to do it for you, and they will make you pay a fee. In our case, it's completely free, no need to pay. Okay, keep that in mind. Here you have our NALCAP website. We have a lot of information there to be able to fill in the application. The application, I must say, it's a little bit complicated. It's through a program which is called Proflex, and it's a little bit, I mean, you have to get to know it, but you have all the information there. You have some video tutorials, and you have also, you know, for example, you will need to submit a letter, you know, presenting your, you know, introducing yourself and your motivation letter, and you will have samples of those in the web page. So I really recommend you to get in the web page and look at all the information you will have there. You just need to write NALCAP and it will show up. Okay, and now I'm gonna show you a little video for one of our assistants that was in Spain last school year, and what she recorded for us, you know, to give you an idea of her experience. So. Oh, sorry. Okay, that was the video. Okay, as it is said, there's nothing else quite like Spain. Okay, so you have some pictures here of different locations in Spain. Okay, and if you are interested in applying, just visit the website and you will have all the information there. Also about the deadline when it starts, when it's the application period is it will be open. And if you need anything, also I'm gonna write in the chat my email address now too. And I don't know if you have any questions or finish this, or if there's something you would like to comment on or ask. Also, maybe Jake can tell us about his experience as an assistant, how he lived that, and I don't know. So I'm going to check the chat in case we have some. Okay. Oh, you have you already put the link. That's great.
Yeah.
You. Okay. So I'm going to write my mail address there. Okay,
I have a question.
yeah.
So I was looking at the requirements for the application, and one of them is transcripts. My school uses this website called Parchment, and they usually send it through like an email or an address. Where would I have my transcript sent to?
Your transcripts?
Yeah.
Well, you have to ask for them, and then you will have to upload it in the application.
Yeah, so I got them from my school,
Okay.
but I can't. Whenever I like try and copy it so I can turn it into a PDF, it like Kent must have put some like safeguard over top of it because it doesn't let me it says unofficial whenever I scan it. But I don't know if there's like another way I should be like doing that.
That I know of. I mean, I know that you have to convert them into a PDF file. Maybe the problem is that the size of the document, because sometimes if it is too big, they don't let you upload it. But if not, I mean, there is a program also that can reduce the size of the PDFs. You can kind of shrink. I don't know the word right now. So you can make it smaller and then you can upload it. But I think that's the only way to do it, just to upload the document in the application. If you see that it doesn't work, then I would recommend you to write to as you are, you have plenty of time right now because the application video has not started yet. Maybe you can mail them and ask them how to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So there's like no like email or like address that I can send it to?
Yes, in the web page there is let me check it and I will tell you right now. So there is a contact us in the menu in your left hand side menu.
Okay.
You have contact us, and then you have general questions and help with app submission, and you have NALCAP at education.gov.s.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna copy that in the chat so that you have that address. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else? Let's see.
So we do have a few questions in the chat.
Okay.
Let's see. The next one was for the documents required to apply. Do applicants need to submit the application checklist like in years past? Like in addition to the transcript, do they need to submit the checklist in addition to the transcript, letter of recommendation, passport, and statement of purpose?
Yes, I think you need to upload that too. Yes. Yes. But anyway, I mean, you have all the information in the webpage. But yes, I think that you need to, it's not only the transcript and a copy of the passport, but you will also need a motivation letter. And I think also the checklist, it's included in that. Yes.
Okay. The next question is, you get to choose whether you teach in a primary or secondary school?
Not, I mean, whenever you are filling the application, you will state which one would you prefer, and the same happens with the possible destinations, right? But we cannot really grant you that you're going to be able to teach in the level you prefer. Okay, so you can get that information, you can send us that information, but depending on the amount of applications we receive and depending on the positions we have in Spain, we will be able to fulfill that or not. So we cannot really grant you you're going to get that. Okay.
Yeah, and I can kind of address that because the next question is directed towards me, which is what regions did you work in, and do you have recommendations for any in particular? So I was placed in Madrid, and Madrid was actually my second choice. Andalusia was my first choice, and then Madrid, and then I believe Castilla-La Mancha. At first I was disappointed because I didn't get my first choice, but in hindsight, I think based on my level of Spanish which was it wasn't like a beginner's level, but it was like intermediate at best. I think that being placed in Madrid was probably the best decision for me. And I ended up falling completely in love with the city, and I renewed for a second year and specifically wanted to be in Madrid at my same school again, which was a primary school. And on the application, I did indicate that my preference was a primary school, so I was placed there. And in terms of recommendations for any regions in particular, it's really hard to say because it depends on each person and what your interests are, whether or not you like cities, or maybe you want to be more in a rural area where you're immersed fully in the culture and language, which can be really great for learning the language and become more fluent. But there are disadvantages of being in a rural area, of course, if traveling is important to you, because maybe it's more difficult to get to bus stations or train stations or airports or things like that. Whereas if you're in a bigger city, you have greater access to those different types of transportation that will allow you to travel within Spain or maybe to other countries in Europe. So there are a lot of different considerations, but from personal experience, I can say that that I absolutely loved being placed in Madrid. Despite it being an international city, there are many different neighborhoods within Madrid, and they all offer something different. And it does offer the ability to like be fully immersed in Spanish culture as well. So don't just think that it's a big city and everyone's going to speak English and you're not going to learn Spanish. I think if you are placed in Madrid and if you want, you can find opportunities to interact and engage with locals and really improve your Spanish and learn about the Spanish culture as well.
Yeah, I would say there is no bad destination, right? So usually, as you said, there are advantages and disadvantages for both possibilities, right? For rural or urban setting. So yeah, it's true that usually in a big city you're going to be much more anonymous. So it's going to depend a lot on you, on your, that you really make an effort to be immersed in the culture and try not to, hang out with English-speaking people and that. But for example, in a rural setting, it is much more probable that you would be the only international person or one of the few international person in that place. So you're going to be immersed in the culture. But at the same time, as you said, like considering, I don't know, like opportunities to travel or to go to theater and, and cinemas and that, of course, a big city is going to be better than a small one. So there is not really a bad destination. It's going to depend on how it's going to be your attitude and how much you want to get from the experience, right? So any more questions?
So Lucas, I see your hand has been up for a while. Would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, hi Jake.
Hi.
And thanks for doing this. Some of my questions are actually in the chat as well, so I'm going to ask the ones that are not in the chat, and then maybe you guys can get to those. So my first question is there a date for when the application will open? Like, will we know? Because like people say it's good to get the application in as soon as possible. So yeah, I don't know if you would know, Pilar, when it's going to open or when we might know the date that it might open.
We still don't know. We still don't know when the application period is going to open. I will recommend you to stay tuned with the webpage, because as soon as it opens, it's going to be there. But we know it's going to be around, yes, end of January. So probably next week, could be beginning of February. I don't think it's going to take longer than 2, maximum 3 weeks. I don't think that later than that. Okay, but we don't really know the date yet. No.
Great. Then my next question, so there's like a video that shows how to submit the application. If we follow that, it'll go well. It'll be perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and there is not only that video, there is also a guide, and there's so there are a lot of information there on how to do it, and it should work. It's
Okay.
true that sometimes it depends on the if you're using Google or Mozilla, or it depends on that, or on the the features of your computer. So sometimes maybe if it's giving you problems, I would recommend you to change the the
Route.
internet you're using, or maybe the computer, and then try. But it shouldn't give you any problem. Right?
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Sure.
And then when will we hear if we've been accepted and what region will be placed in? This was in the chat, but
late, I must say.
Okay,
It's
okay.
late. So I'm gonna have to ask you to be patient. And I know sometimes it's difficult, because mostly you American people, you like to plan a long time ahead, and sometimes, but the thing is that we are sending around 4,000 American people, to Spain every year. So we have a huge amount of applications. And the thing is that it not only depends on us, because it would depend on us. I think it would be faster. But the thing is that we are depending on the local education offices in Spain, regional offices in Spain. So that's the thing, that sometimes it takes longer for them to assign assistance to schools. Sometimes it is not. So we don't really know. Usually you should be knowing by the end of May, beginning of June.
Okay.
More or less. And I also saw in the chat that somebody asked that in Andalusia they got to choose the school. And if it's going to be the same this year, I cannot give you an answer, because as I said, it depends on the regional government. So in the regional education office. So last year they decided to do it like that, but sometimes they don't, and they just change the way they do it. So I cannot really give an answer about that. I don't know how it's going to work this year. Okay.
Sure. And then I have one. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Hopefully you will be able to choose.
Yeah. I just have one final question. Sorry, I don't want to take up too much time. Like in my case, I would love to be in Andalusia. And I know that you said that, like, it is what it is. Do you have any insight or like anything that can be done to try to like increase the chances that we'll get placed in a certain region?
Not really. No, not really. But I would say that if you want to be placed in Andalusia, the chances that you are going to be there are not that bad, because Andalusia is really big. I mean, if you were applying to, let's say, Cantabria, which only has, it's a small province there, and then it's going to be more difficult, although it's not one of the most, asked for. But in the case of Andalusia, I mean, there are 8 provinces there, so it's not going to be that difficult. But who knows? Jake, for example, he said he'd applied for that and didn't get it. So I cannot, and there is nothing really that you can do, because sometimes I remember in former years, they said that if, the sooner you apply, the more options you have to get the place. It could be like that, but it's not really granted. So, yeah. But as I said, I would recommend you not to make up your mind with one specific place, because you never know, and sometimes the place you have never thought about going to is going to be the one that really makes it. And for you, because it happened to me with Indiana. I can really tell you that I never thought I was coming to Indiana. It was not in my plans at all. That because it's a place that from a Spanish perspective nobody knows, and I'm really happy. I have enjoyed. Now I'm a huge here. I have enjoyed my experience here a lot. So you never know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for your responses.
Sure. So, more questions?
So we do have some other questions. I'm trying to find ones that haven't been addressed.
There is one about if you have a Spanish citizenship. Well, doesn't have to be a problem, but I mean, when you apply for the program, you have to do it with your American nationality, okay, with your American passport, not with the Spanish one, because if you apply with your Spanish passport, you're not going to be admitted. So you have to show you are an American citizen and you have the American passport, okay? But I don't think it's going to be not a problem, not also probably an advantage. So it's not going to make any impact probably. Okay, I don't see application checks. Okay, so the application checklist that they don't know. Okay. Well, there's only a way to submit the 4 documents in Prefix. You know what? I'm not really very familiar with the application process, you know, in DIP, like the where you upload because I don't usually work with the applications. So I would recommend, if you have any problems with that, as I said before, as it is early right now, that the application period has not started yet, I would recommend you to mail to the mail address I gave you before and ask them. It's a mailbox that it's currently, I mean, every day is checked, and you will receive an answer for sure. Okay. Okay.
There's a question about where can we find the information for the statement of purpose prompt and length requirements? Is that available before the applications open or only after?
I mean, which document again you said? It's not the motivation letter?
The statement of purpose, like what and like what the length requirements are and what should be included in that requirement.
I think it is already in the web page. I think when you check in the left hand side menu, when you say applying to NALCAP, you have all the information there, and you have you know, you have the application guidelines, the recommendation letter guidelines too, and also a recap of the documents. So you have everything there. Okay, so here you have assigned a statement of purpose, and I think you have there a sample. Let me see. Okay, recommendation letter guidelines for the, no, this is not right. I think there was a sample letter too. Okay.
I did find, yeah, some additional information on the application guidelines document. It looks like it's page 8. And I can share my screen.
Yes, you have to check the whole documents there, and okay, so
yeah, so
steps, open required documents maybe here.
Yeah, so it looks like it's 250 to 300 words.
Yes,
and,
that's
and in English, yeah.
You have it. I can show you here. Let me see. I can share my.
I'll stop sharing.
Oh, you were sharing that, so you saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I was going to do the same. So you have in the guidelines, you have everything, and you have the information about the length of the document of the letter, and also, you know, who you have to address to, what you need to include there. So you have everything there. Yes.
Oh, if someone wants to be placed with a friend, is there an opportunity to, in the application, to indicate that?
In the application, well, usually that was for couples, okay? So for married couples, that sometimes they apply for the same, but you can include the name of the person you would like to go with there, you know, the same, and it is a friend, and same here. So I cannot really grant you, they will give that, but they will definitely take that into consideration, okay? But I must say, I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, if it is a friend, I would recommend that maybe you go to, it would be better not to go to the same place, because if you go to the same place, then you're going to spend a lot of time with that person, so you are not going to really get immersed in the culture and you know, and learn Spanish. But that's a personal advice. I mean, of course you can do whatever, but you can say that in the application, but we cannot really grant you that you will be assigned to the same place.
Oh, I think there's one other that I see that we skipped. In the regions that aren't major cities like Madrid and Barcelona, how remote or rural are some of the placements? So like, are the majority of the placements outside of a big city near some city center, or can they be very remote placements?
Well, usually, I mean, you have to keep in mind that the size of Spain has nothing to do with the states. So, I mean, there is not really a remote place, as you would say, like here, that it's like 2 hours from any, you know, big center or what, or something like that. It's not that far. Spain is really small, and also, you know, our public transportation system is really, really good, and it's not, at least for example here in Indiana, people don't usually use the public transportation system, but in Spain everybody uses it. So it's safe, it's cheap, it works, like, you know, with a tight schedule. So usually there are not like places you will say are really remote and you're going to be able to, you know, to go to a city from there or anything like that. Could be. I'm not going to say they're known. Probably there are a few, but it's not that usual, right? So I don't know about well, you were in Madrid, so Madrid's different because it's a big city, but yes, if you want to, but maybe you travel from Madrid to different places and you saw that the public transportation system is really good. We have buses, we have trains, we have something that you don't have here, apart from Uber, of course, that is called BlaBlaCar. I don't know if you know about that. So that's when somebody, it's kind of similar to carpooling here, right? So somebody is driving from one place to the other and they publish it in the web, and so they receive a little payment and you can, you know, hop in the car and go with them. So that's also an option. So in Spain, moving around is not difficult at all.
Yeah, I agree. BlaBlaCar is great and very affordable way to travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to add to that, although I was in Madrid, others that that I know or met in Spain, outside of Madrid, if they were placed in, you know, outside of a big city, many times they would still choose to live in a bigger city nearby and commute. And like Pilar said, the public transportation is very accessible. It's not uncommon for the commute to be like 30 minutes or maybe even an hour. Even in Madrid, some people, if you get placed on, like, the Comunidad de Madrid is like the province, so you won't necessarily be placed in the city center of Madrid. You could be placed anywhere from like an hour and a half outside of the city center, but many people will still choose to live in the city if that's what they prefer. So yeah, I guess my point is that longer commutes are common there. So it doesn't necessarily matter as much where your actual school is located. It's like what areas can you live in around your school within like a 1 hour radius.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yaritza, I see your hand is up. She might have just left. Oh no.
I don't see any Yaritza.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, I think there are no more questions here, right? Check. That's the friend we said. Okay.
Oh, yeah, great idea, Allison. Yeah, it would be great if anyone in here wanted to connect. Yaritza, yeah, I see you had your hand up. Did you have a question for us?
I did. I just got kicked out. That internet, but hi. Thank you for like today's presentation and sharing all of this information with us. I just wanted to ask for you, Jake, this question. What were some challenges maybe that you faced while you were in Madrid, but that like kind of overcame, you know?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I grew up in Metro Detroit. So I'm originally from Michigan. I had never been to New York or Los Angeles or like big cities like that before. So an initial big challenge for me was just living in a city as big as Madrid. Like 6 million people is quite large. I think Madrid is the third most populous city in Spain. So living in a big city just comes with, Pilar mentioned this earlier, but kind of like being anonymous, navigating like transportation, like a metro system and a bus system and stuff like that. So that usually can be translated to living in other cities as well. But with so many people, it's almost like, and since Madrid has the most like language assistance of all the areas in Spain, you might think, oh, it's easier to meet people there, which in some cases maybe it is, but in others, like there might be so many people that it can be overwhelming, or like it's harder to, like, maybe if you're in a smaller area, if there's only a couple other people like you, it might be easier to connect because that's like who you can lean on. Whereas in a bigger city, that maybe, those people might have already, found their people or their niche. So maybe some of those challenges existed. And then without a doubt, a challenge for me living in a big city where there is more access to the English language was finding areas for immersion. Like I said earlier, those areas totally exist in Madrid, and you can find them in different neighborhoods. And it's really, it's so cool to just experience all of the different neighborhoods that Madrid has to offer. But the opportunity to speak English can be very, very tempting, especially when you first arrive somewhere. And sometimes I kind of fell into that trap of kind of gravitating towards others who maybe look like me or talk like me. And in the long run, that didn't necessarily help one of my ultimate goals, which was improve my Spanish or become closer to fluency. So as much as I loved Madrid, it definitely comes with its own challenges. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah. And then one last thing, because I know we're getting really close to 4 o'clock. I do want to share, for those of you who are unaware, that the International Center has a virtual advising hours, and I'll share the link shortly. Right here. So you can sign up for advising with my office, either one of our peer advisors or myself. So while Pilar is an incredible resource and shared her contact information, just know that there's also a resource for stuff like this at Michigan as well. So between the both of us, hopefully we'll be able to address any of your questions or concerns. Any last things to add, Pilar, before we go?
Not really. I really encourage you to participate and to apply for the program. It's really, if you fulfill the requirements, it's really easy to get in, okay? As I said, we send a lot of students there and a lot of assistance to Spain every year. So, the possibilities the odds are really good. And I think it's really a life-changing experience for everybody who has lived that. So I really recommend that to you. And thank you for your attention, of course, and your interest in the program. And thank you, Jake, for inviting me.
Of course.